Okay, so step one, open a properly configured Geo workspace. The Geo workspace that I've already set up for you is called Export. If you could just go there, Keith, and double click on that bad boy. And this should take just a minute or so to open. Okay, so just like we've talked about in the past, what we're looking at here is the dynamic segmentation of TSN route segments for the entire network, and also on the map underneath is the view of SHS routes, the all roads on system stuff. So okay, let's just look at the workflow doc again. Step 2 is going to be to export both query 1 and query 4 to a file geodatabase. Do that, go to Manage Data, Export 2, and then File Geodatabase.
Okay, so Manage Data, Export 2, oops, and this one here.
Yep. Okay.
And bring up the doc.
Yeah, bring up the doc. Okay, so the two things, actually I think we need a little bit more words. You just scrolled past the, yeah. Okay, so the export, okay, so export those two queries. The default export configurations should be fine. The most important thing is that you know where in your file system Geomedia will build your new file geodatabase. Per your request, Keith, I already updated this document to just say that the default location will be C warehouses, and if you want to change it, let me just show you. Let me just show you. If you scroll down just a hair, so you can see the screenshot.
It's right here in the browser.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yep.
So okay, let's go back. Oh, let me read you this warning. A little further down, warning. It's necessary that query 4 is both checked and highlighted. So see how I circled query 4 there?
Yeah. That's
it has to be both. Has to be both checked in that checkbox on the left, and it has to be like you have to click on the actual words.
Okay. And this.
Yeah. It was the weirdest thing. I was checking both of them, but not highlighting it, and it was exporting wrong. And I already filed that as a bug for them to know about, because it's totally non-intuitive that you have to do that. But anyhow, that's a thing to be aware of. So go ahead and set up this export configuration just like I noted.
All right. So we're doing query 1 and query 4. Now we have to make sure that that's selected.
Yep, and notice when you selected it like that, like all these stuff below became visible, like it stopped being grayed out. Mm-hmm. I just want you to select the query 1 so that the query 4 is not selected. I just want, or I don't mean uncheck it, I mean unhighlight it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Darn, now my point isn't being made. Oh well, forget it. The point is query 4 has to be highlighted for this thing to work, and it's again silly, but it's a quirk you've got to deal with. So are you cool with C warehouses being the place where it gets exported to?
That's fine.
Okay. 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 As things currently stand, we're exporting the entire network. I actually want to not do that because it'll take about 10 minutes to run.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back and scale back the set of data that we're exporting to just 1 or 2 routes.
Okay. In the query,
so
what do you want to?
What? Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll update a query. So go ahead and close this.
All right.
Rather than saying apply, just say close. Okay. And go back to analysis queries. Okay, and the query that you would update to scale back the set of routes we're looking at is attribute query of TSN route segs.
This one here.
Yep.
And just click properties, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So update this filter to be a route of your choosing.
What do you want?
Tim, by the way, Tim, this answers a question you asked me some time ago about whether this process supports exporting specific routes. This is how you do it.
Okay, good to know. Because I think the reason why I asked about that is because even though I know we've been testing and kind of working toward testing a whole route, or sorry, whole system export, I think the reality is that more likely we're going to have a whole system that's just going to be updated piecemeal. We're going to be in Geomedia modifying specific routes and probably only exporting and replacing the routes that we've modified. It's kind of what I envision, but I don't think we've settled internally on whether or not that's what we're going to do. But I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think that it's simpler.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
You want to run all roads LRS key, or you want to run route ID?
Oh, route ID. So
okay.
If you go on all roads LRS key, basically you should really think of the all roads in this context. You should think of the all roads stuff as nothing more than a way to join your TSN data to geometry. So no, we're not going to use all roads LRS key. We're going to use TSN stuff.
All right.
So where route ID equals 1 or 2 routes, whatever you want.
What route you guys want? Yeah. What were we looking at yesterday? Route 2, right, Adam? Or what do you want to do?
Yeah, let's.
Or any route? Any route?
Yeah, it just doesn't matter that much.
Okay.
10 is good.
10, yeah. Okay. Click OK.
Mhm.
There we go.
There you go.
Route 6. Okay. Close this, right?
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so now let's do the export again.
Okay. Same selection, right? Actually, we want just the actually it'll be the same.
Yep.
And then select this.
There you go.
It's going to be a line geometry. Coordinate system. Yep. Should we change this or?
Your choice.
I don't know. Route 10.
You know, you might want to not put a space in the output name. I don't know. That might not be. I don't know if it's a problem or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Click apply. That's all right.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you look in the lower right-hand corner, it'll give you some status, features exported.
Oh, right here. Okay.
Yeah. And now Now you're good. The export's complete.
There's 826. Okay, export features. Okay.
All right. So you're done. You're done with the Geomedia part.
Okay. All right. So we're 5.3, right?
Yep. So the background here on 5.3 is that we have created so Farallon created a file geodatabase separate from the one you just created with Geomedia that contains two things. It contains one, a tool that we built in like a toolbox kind of tool that will take in those two inputs that you just created with Geomedia and process them for you into a new feature class called SHN Lines Target. And then we also have the actual target feature class already defined in this file geodatabase. So first step here to get things going is to launch ArcMap.
Let me check on the warehouse piece.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep. There we go. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so your first step is going to be to connect, add in the two feature classes that you just created with Geomedia. So navigate to those.
All right.
Oh, it's in, you'll probably have to make a new folder connection.
Was that? Yeah. I just thought I'd do the long array.
Well, but remember the file.
Oh, you know what? That's right.
Geodatabase,
On the desktop.
Yeah.
Yep. We're gonna have to go to here. We'll just connect to the C drive. And it should be. There we go.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. You want to bring both of them in, or just geometry?
You need both. You need both.
Okay.
Okay, and now next, wait a minute.
What's up?
Oh. Could you go not to the layers, but to the data connections?
The what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to be crystal clear.
Okay.
Yeah, that the table is available in ArcMap as well. So, okay, next step is to navigate to the file geodatabase that Farallon provided called Geomedia to ArcGIS.
Okay.
And the way I always do it, Keith, is with the catalog option within ArcMap, because there's some advantages to that hopefully we'll see in a sec here.
Yeah. Yeah, we need it. I put it in the, okay.
All right. Then Geomedia to ArcGIS. folder.
Where are we at? Okay, right there. Right here?
Yep, that's it. So add SHN lines to the map.
This one here?
Yeah, sorry, SHN lines target to the map. Okay, and don't worry about the fact that there's data within SHN lines. And the reason why is that when you run this tool, this Geomedia to ArcGIS tool that you see there, it'll delete it'll delete. So go ahead and double click on that. So that's going to launch a little UI. And at this point, you just point it to the appropriate feature classes. You know what? Okay, so for TSN route segs, the source is, that's not consistent with the screenshot, is it? Can you look at the screenshot for me in the document?
Yeah, this is smaller.
Yeah, it's fine. I need to change. I need to fix that. Okay. But actually, let me show you how to fix it right now. It's super easy. Do you see that what I'm seeing as the problem? Just the label on top of the first data entry box is different in the screenshot than it is in the actual tool.
Yeah, this one here, TSN routes versus query.
Yeah.
Query.
Anyhow, let's run this thing, then we'll fix it. But so okay, the first input is going to be the query 4, the geometry.
Okay.
The second input is query 1, which is basically the attributes.
This one here.
Mm-hmm. And then the last input is the target feature class, which is SHN lines target, and that contains the structure. That is the structure that you'll populate Highway 10 into, and then say OK.
And basically, okay, the source, destination, which is this piece that you were talking about earlier, right?
Yep.
The SHN target. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Great. Done.
Succeeded. Yeah.
So now if you let's look at a data window for SHN lines target.
Okay. This one here.
Yeah.
You wanted to see the table, or?
I just want you to I want you to see the what's in there.
Okay. Route 10.
It's interesting that ArcMap didn't update its display because obviously that old green line there isn't there anymore.
I bet if you hit refresh, it will.
I refreshed it.
Yeah.
It's gone.
There you go.
Because we have several of our tools do that too. You
gotcha.
run them, it doesn't update the display. The data behind it is updated, but not until you hit refresh does it actually visually show.
Gotcha. So just so you guys know, the last 2 or 3 deliveries of data to load to GeoTest have run through this process. Rather, when I initially did it, it was all those steps that tool is now doing for you, or I did manually.
Mm-hmm.
But now that tool just does it for you, which is pretty sweet. So there you go. That's it. That's how you create the file to load to GeoTest and to share with your users.
Okay.
So I guess at least that was useful from a sort of mechanics kind of standpoint, like button clicking, monkey see, monkey do kind of standpoint. I imagine you have questions about like, okay, so like what processing is happening where and why, stuff like that. I'm happy to just jump in to answering to going into all that, or if you guys have specific questions, I'm happy to let you sort of guide that as well.
I had a question. Is there any chance, or is there going to be any time, maintenance-wise, we're going to ever have to make mods to this? To this
maybe.
tool, you know?
It's possible. So far, it's working just fine. But the only modification the only thing that I wanted to do, and in the end didn't because it would have taken more time than we can really afford to spend, is to have an option to truncate or not truncate the target feature class.
Okay.
And by truncate, that means delete all the records that are already in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we just made it so that it just always truncates.
Okay. Yeah. But let me just show you. I mean, it's an easy thing to edit. Actually, let's look at for the. Could you double click on the oval on the far upper left that says TSN route tags source? This one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, get rid of that. That's not what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Could you right click on it and say properties? Okay, cancel this. There was a
this one here.
display. Yeah, display properties. Let's try that. Dang, I forget this stuff. So okay, for name. Sorry, go back to that to display properties.
Okay.
Oh, maybe you can just say rename. Anyhow, for name, you can change that now to what we want it to say, which is query 1 underscore blah 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
so that you know exactly what to put in there.
Let me do this. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, you can copy it from
Yeah. This one, right?
Yep.
4. Is that right? Whoops.
There you go.
Okay.
And you can put a tooltip in there. You know, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Right. All that stuff. Yeah. All right.
And then press save, of course. Now, at least on the file geodatabase that's on your particular computer, that's
Right. That's correct. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Truncate.
So,
well,
anyhow, I mean,
remember you oh, sorry. You mentioned about truncating, having the option.
Yeah. Yeah.
The truncate is just fields, right? You're just truncating fields? Is that what you're doing, or what are you truncating?
I'm deleting all the records in the table. Or deleting all the records in the feature class.
In the feature class. Okay, got it.
So that includes the geometry.
Right. Okay.
So in the workflow that Tim described, where you have some sort of a master Esri file,
Mm-hmm.
what you would have to do is take the result of this and load it to that.
Right.
Assuming you're only working on one route at a time.
Yeah, I'm sure we can build. Well, yeah, we can build a model, whatever, because we're just appending additional,
Yeah, you can modify
removing and then just removing and then appending, whatever. I mean, we can look at that.
And you'll see if you double click on the generalize, it's set to, it's hard coded to your 2-foot, your 0.2 foot,
right.
Generalization thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Any other questions?
I'm good. I don't have anything.
Okay.
I'll just add that that yes, that's pretty much exactly what I do. I do a little bit more. I take the result file that you send to me, and I do some visual inspection of it just to kind of make sure that it looks the way it does. And the past several have been fine. But what I'm doing also is I'm checking, for example, when I DynSeg the TSN data onto the line, I make sure that all of the points land on the line like they're supposed to. And I've been finding a few that don't, but they haven't been actually with your data. It's been with ours because there are issues with the calibration from the data source. But never mind that. But your data, the stuff that I've been getting from you has been for the most part fine. When there has been an issue, I'd let you know. Like we had that issue with, what was it, 215 or 225 rather, and that was kind of to be expected because we had through the training done some modification to that route to make it consistent with the 2016 data, and I was doing a wholesale DynSeg of 2015 on it, and 2015 was before it had that chunk pulled out of it.
Right.
So obviously it was throwing a fit about that. And I could load that into Geotest, and all it's going to happen is it's just going to show me that 225 has a bajillion errors, and I'd be like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. Right. All good.
Exactly. So so yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Is I just do it after I've done some visual inspection of the line work. I just and then DynSeg the TSN data onto it. I just do a whole, delete it out of. I'd make a copy of my master 2015 data, and then delete the respective routes out of it, and then put in copies of the data that you sent, and then push it on up. That's pretty much it. There's not much to it.
Yeah, my fervent hope is that you'll become comfortable doing that visual inspection work on the Geomedia side, and by the time you run it through this ringer, you're totally confident that the output is going to be exactly what you need.
I expect that in time, that's exactly what will happen. As I finally have the opportunity and experience to become comfortable with Geomedia, I'm sure that's exactly what will happen. It's already, like I said, it's already getting to the point where all the data that's coming in from Geomedia all looks fine anyway. I mean, the exceptions have been things that I've been able to kind of easily account for. Oh, we're putting our geometry doesn't match the time frame of the data we're trying to DynSeg onto it. I get that.
Right.
And I would have made that same observation in Geomedia. So.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, let me, if I could, Keith, just do my best to explain these two source inputs, like really what they actually are.
Okay.
If it's not, just to make sure you guys are clear. Let's start with the TSN route segs. Let's just open that as a table view.
You want to see this? Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, this hopefully looks familiar. Really, what it is it's the output of the dynamic segmentation of TSN route data. And the really important thing here is that it includes route ID over on the left, it includes alignment, and it includes odometers. And if you look in detail at the model, you'll see the first step in that model is to create routes from these polylines, basically to create polyline M features from these polylines based on these odometer inputs. The second step is to generalize. So I should back up and say, so the result of that create routes process, yeah, thanks. The result of the create routes, whoa, that does not look right. Did it change? Why did it change?
I have no idea.
I think you're looking at an old version or something. That's not what we were looking at before.
Yeah, that's not what we were looking at. Am I looking at the right one? Yeah, this is it right here.
It totally changed.
I must have did something. Let me.
Well, the point is that in this case, the end result of the create routes workflow is really only two features, one for each alignment of this route. And in the course of doing the create routes, it strips off all the attributes because it has to, with the exception of the route ID. Actually, really, it's the route ID underscore align. So the combination of route ID and alignment. And then if you go ahead and right-click on the query 1 table and look at that, this is where the rest of the attributes are actually being sort of maintained. And it's a small enough table that I just output every route every time. It's fine. There's no overhead in doing that. And what the process does is it joins the result of the create routes to this query 1 table. And if you're only outputting one route with 2 alignments, only 2 records are going to join up.
All right. All these to this.
Yeah.
To one of these.
And
depending on the alignment.
Yep, exactly. And then it creates, and then the result of that is pushed into SHN lines target, because all the attributes that you need for SHN lines target are in this query 1 table. And the next thing I'll point out is that everything in this query 1 table is everything that's not already directly in Oracle is created in those queries that are in Geomedia that I described earlier in Workflow 5, that I described in 5.1. Would you guys be interested in going through 5.1 in detail? Or would it just kind of be, yeah, it works?
I was about to pull it up. Since you have it up, go ahead and scroll up to it, and because I'd like to take a look at it really fast.
I mean, it would be good to understand it, all the queries, because, we're going to be modifying them just to get either 1 route, 2 routes, or the whole system.
Right.
And they all each, tie to each other. So you have to know when what plays, which one do we modify, which one, So it's good to understand that. Yeah.
Let me start by saying this then, that I've done my best anyway to describe not just what each query is from a technical perspective, but like why we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that's helpful. And if you just scroll, well, no, let's just stay here. Well, let's look at it in Geomedia. That's actually the easiest thing for me anyway. Go ahead and open up Geomedia, or actually it's already open, but just yeah. Let's look at let's just go to analysis queries and just bang through each query. So query one is quite simple. It's just a set of functional attributes for the TSN routes table. Now, to be clear, it's not TSN routes segs, it's TSN routes, which is the parent table for TSN route segs. This is the table that holds the information that's relevant to every route in its entirety. So, do you understand?
Yep.
I'm unable to get visual feedback from you guys. All right, so let's just look at this RTE-VER-ID thing. Let's look at the properties of RTE-VER-ID. I'm not sure you guys really use that or not. It was in the file you gave me. So it's really, all of these are just a concatenation of other stuff. So what we're doing is we're concatenating the route ID plus an underscore plus the year recorded plus the month recorded, or plus an underscore plus the month recorded. And then it comes out as a virtual column on the other side. So cancel that. RTE geom ID, double click on that guy, or little properties. Same thing, just a concatenation of stuff. All the data is there in the table, but it's not presented in the manner that you guys usually do it. So what this, maybe on this geom ID thing, I just want to point out is that when you're back in Geomedia, part of the workflow for editing a route back in workflow, I don't know, 2 or 3 or whatever, the last step is to update your year, month, day information back in this table that you're now creating the route geom ID from. Let's look quickly at state code. Super simple. We're just saying, all right, create a field called state code and give it a value of 6. That's all this is doing. Direction. I think all this is a renaming of a column. Basically, we already have a column in the table called direction. I just renamed it dir so that it would be an easy match to the target. And then RTE ALN, I'm using this as the basis for a join to the output of query 4 because it's the combination of route ID and alignment. I put a trim in there as well for good measure to make sure that if there are leading or trailing spaces, they get trimmed off. So that's query 1. And again, bottom line is it's intended to just have the route attributes. Okay, interesting. Oh, okay, yeah, good. Cancel out of that. So the rest of these, the remaining 3 queries are a chain for TSN route segs. So let's look at these. First is the attribute query of TSN route segs. That's just the filter to specify, just like we did, to specify which route or routes we're interested in exporting. All right, you can cancel that. The next step in the chain is we're creating a functional attribute, the RTEALN, again, so that we can join based on the combination of route ID and alignment. And if we look at the properties of that, it's the same as the RTEALN in the other one. It's taking what were attributes from 2 columns and shoving them into 1.
That's taking the TSN routes and the segs to create this, or it's using the route ID align, right? As in seen in here.
Yep.
This one.
Right. Yep. It's the same. And again, the purpose of that is so that the join that happens in ArcMap is possible.
Okay.
Because in ArcMap, you can't join in ArcMap based on a dual field join. You have it only allows you to do a single field join. So we're prepping the data to support that. I want to say limitation, but it's just, you know, yeah. And then the last step is the actual dyn seg of the TSN route, of the attribute query of the TSN route seg data. And that's not going to do you all that much good, but that's
dyn seg function attribute. Okay. Attribute query route segs. Okay.
That's it.
On here it says view, right? The view. So basically we're doing query dyn seg on top of view SHM route.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So the dyn seg here, I mean, basically geometry is placed based on all roads measures, but the output includes odometers. And then in ArcMap, what we're doing is we're shoving the odometers into the geometry, into the M values within the geometry points. So, and that's it. That's the whole thing. For at least for the purpose of export, that's how you do it. I'm going to pause your recording real quick here. All right, moving on to talking about QA/QC. So the goal, let me just say the goal of the QA/QC Geo Workspace is to find issues in the data that are likely to cause the result of the export to not load properly to GeoTest. That was really sort of that was what I was trying to accomplish in creating this. So it's really just a workspace that has a bunch of queries that attempts to isolate issues that need to be resolved in order for the data to load properly to GeoTest. So, so that you don't have to actually go through the whole rigmarole of exporting ArcGIS and loading the GeoTest and looking at the errors coming out of there before going and fixing something, so that you can just see that there's an issue right here in this software. So there's three distinct sort of flavors of error. There's really three separate queries that show you problems on the map. Let's do just like we did last time and save the Geo Workspace setup piece of the action for after we look at the mechanics of the workflow. So let's go ahead and move on to oh wait, this whole workflow is actually, let's just do this. Let's just start looking at some problems. I want you to minimize, this is the export workspace. Go ahead and minimize that.
Okay.
All right, and let's, could you fit all? All right, cool. So let's update the query to look for errors in a particular route, and let's go with Highway 1 left.
Okay. You want to update the queries?
Yeah. So update the attribute query filter. Yeah, that one.
This one?
Yep.
And you want to, what did you want to?
Let's go where route ID equals 1.
Okay.
And it has to be in single quotes.
Yeah.
And then also where alignment is left. So and alignment is left.
And alignment. There we go. Equals we don't need. Yeah, we don't need it.
We do. We do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. For text fields, you need that.
Okay. And I think we're good.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So it'll think about it for a second. This, just so you know, this Geo Workspace runs relatively slow because these queries searching for specific issue conditions in the data are a pretty heavy lift. I've found, for example, that if you try to look at all the routes all at once, Geomedia will crash before it actually shows you anything. Mm-hmm. So you really want to limit what you're looking at to one route at a time, and I would even suggest one alignment at a time, because to look at these issues with overlapping alignments,
right,
it's pretty much impossible to make sense of it. So all those red dots you see along the route are issues. They're all actually pretty simple issues, but issues nonetheless. Let me start by just, you can close the queries thing. Let me start just by showing you over in the left, in the legend, and I go over this in the workflow document. Actually, why don't you bring up the workflow document just so that, okay, Geo Workspace setup. That shows you how to build all the queries that are used in this Geo Workspace. But let's go down to, I think, 6.2. Okay, 6.2 is identify issues on the map. This is where I show you how to do what you just did. And then step 4 here, if there's no issues on the map, you'll see zeros. You see what I mean? Like those red layers are all zeros.
These here would be 0.
Yeah. Yeah. If it was a clean route, those would be 0. But it's not a clean route. Let's go back to the workflow. I think I showed an example further down. Okay, this demonstrates something with issues to resolve, and this one has issues. Okay, so the most generic thing to say is where you see a red dot, you have an issue to fix, and you can go in and look at it in detail to go fix it. When you understand the queries, the construction of the queries, then we can have a conversation about how, you know, as you see, there's 3 separate layers, and each one is going to show you different kinds of issues. And when you understand the queries, you'll know which kinds of issues each individual layer is likely to show you. But let's just start with just the generic sort of thought that just red is bad, okay, and we want to get rid of it. So let's go to the southernmost red dot on Highway 1 and see if we can go fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So go to the southernmost one.
This one here.
Yeah. Let's say zoom in a little tighter. All right. A little tighter even.
1 to 70. Oh, there's a gap there.
Yep. So it's a simple problem. The basic issue is that there's a gap there that shouldn't be there. So what that means is this: that I'm guessing that if we look at the odometer end of the segment to the south, and the odometer begin for the segment to the north, I'm going to guess they're identical and should be identical. I actually have this set up so that if you just hover over the, it tells you the begin and end odometer for the.
Yep, 27721.
Okay, so why? So okay, that's a thing. So can you guys? So this is a bit of a training rhetorical question, but so if the odometers are identical, why don't the two touch? What do we have to do to make the two touch? Bueller? Okay, so how is it? Okay, remember these blue lines, these dyne segs of TSN route segs, they are dyne segged on top of view SHS routes. So view SHS routes is the underlying route geometry. And TSN route segs, in this case, is the event. And these events are tied to the underlying routes using odometers.
So they don't have the same beginning odometer, though. Do you notice that?
Which is fine, right?
Yeah.
Because it's one segment to the next. So it's the ending of this segment here. This is the end. This is the beginning of the next segment.
Yeah, okay, you're right. The end odometer of the previous segment is
right.
Yeah,
right. This one.
Yeah, I was starting to actually think about the whole dummy point issue, but
yeah.
I know this is going to relate to that, but
yeah.
I don't.
Don't get complicated yet. You're going to confuse me, Tim. So let me ask you this question then. How is it that this event layer of TSN route segs is tied to the underlying route layer of VW SHS routes? Is it TSN based odometers and route IDs, or is it all roads based LRS keys and measures?
I'm still trying to fully understand all the different layers that exist here. It's so much more complicated than the ArcMap version, in my opinion, because of exactly that, because there's an underlying all roads odometer. And so it is my understanding that everything is, of course, that this is all events on top of the all roads. So each one of these are going to have a corresponding all roads odometer.
Yeah.
And they're not, but their lengths aren't going to necessarily equate. My point, what I'm saying is a length, a numeric value on one odometer set is not going to have the exact same numeric value on the other odometer set. And I get that.
Yeah.
But I don't have any idea how that would result in gaps like this. Doesn't make any sense to me. Don't understand it at all.
Well, it needs to.
I get that, but I don't.
Okay, let's go back to the data model. Do you have that? Do you have the data model diagram handy?
Yes.
Oh, which one? Oh yeah, Tim. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have the one that you sent a while back. It probably hasn't changed though. It's dated May 4th. The one I have.
Well, you know what, Tim? You can send it to my way, and then I'll just display here. Since this is it'll record this session here. I mean, the session's recording my screen, so yeah, I can try to display it.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Adam can tell us whether or not it is still accurate.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Still sending.
Okay. So, all right, what we're looking at here is a dynamic segmentation of TSN route segs in the lower right against routes in the upper left.
This one there.
And the dynamic segmentation of the blue, so the blue lines are TSN route segs dynamically segmented on top of routes, or actually a view SHS routes, but whatever, view SHS routes is really just a subset of routes. And the geometry of the TSN route seg is created based on the relationship to routes using all roads measures. It just happens to be the case that we populate TSN route segs with odometers as business data that can be used later, frankly, for processing in ArcGIS. So the reason that there is a disconnect between those, there's a gap, I should say, between those two segments, those two TSN route segments, is because the all roads measure for the end of the southern one is not identical to the all roads measure for the begin of the northern one.
But why wouldn't it be? I mean, shouldn't it be?
Yeah, it should. So let's fix it. But let's start by proving that what I just said is even accurate, because I.
Well, what I want to understand, what I want to understand is why it happens at all, because that's what I don't get. It doesn't. I mean, it should be.
I'm going to just chalk it up to a conversion error. When I converted, when I did the voodoo that took the source data that you gave me back in December and created these TSN route seg event data, in the course of that conversion, inevitably some issues came up. So some issues happened, and this query is doing a great job of identifying them. That's all.
I see.
But that said, I mean, you guys are going to continue to develop and maintain this TSN route seg data using the workflows I've already showed you. And this same QA/QC process can be used to verify that what you've done is valid. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for bringing in new data, similar to what you were doing. But even if we're modifying existing data, I get that. But it seems to me that once you have a base data set where all these issues have been fixed, the number of these kinds of issues should be minimal to none.
Yeah, no, I agree completely.
Yeah, it should only happen to new data coming in. But I mean, you know. That's
right. Yeah. But the really beautiful thing here is that, like, finding those errors without these queries is really, that's the hardest part of fixing them. It's just finding them.
Right.
And the beautiful thing about the beautiful thing about these queries is they find them for you.
I mean, historically, that has been one of our biggest challenges with the QA/QC process with the on-system LRS. Is there are so many different kinds of errors that can exist in the geometry and in the calibration that are almost impossible to find without some kind of visual inspection, and the visual inspection is itself tedious or so terribly difficult as to be almost impossible.
Yeah, sometimes you won't know until the data's been out for some time. Someone catches it, you know. So and it's that complicated.
Well, hopefully this makes your lives easier.
That's the hope.
So, Yeah, let's prove that. I mean, I kind of made an assertion about what the problem is here. I still haven't seen. Let's look at the data. So to verify that I'm on the right track. So the only way to do that is to look at the attributes of those two segments and see if the all roads measures do or don't line up. You can do that just by double clicking on it.
Which one we want? This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the end all roads measure is 26,694 for that one.
And
yeah, forget the odometer. We know the odometer is not the problem.
26,694.
Do you guys understand why we know the odometer is not the problem?
Well,
it's just event data, so yeah.
That's data that we just brought in.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not what it's being measured on.
Exactly. The geometry of the dime seg has nothing to do with the odometer. You're right. That's not what it's being measured on. The way to put it. So okay. So 26,694 for that one. Let's see what the measure is for the one up above it. For the begin measure for the one up above it.
Okay.
9.5. There you go. It's off by 1,000th of a mile.
0.001. 26,695.
So then the next question is, which one's right?
Well, 1,000th of a mile. I mean, look at the landmark. This is an intersection, and 1,000th of a mile is 5 1/4 feet, and that is well within our margin of error within an intersection. So unless this particular breakpoint happens to be really far off to one side of the intersection or the other, chances are either of those spots would probably be fine.
Okay. Well, you can turn on the imagery if you want.
I mean, that's what I would probably do, just because I tend to be anal retentive that way. I would probably turn on the imagery and decide which one is closer to the middle of the intersection. But you're talking about 5 feet, and so it's not going to be that big a difference.
But then shouldn't it connect because it's not a break, right? So.
What's that?
Oh, shouldn't it connect though?
It should connect, but that's what I'm saying. So, the question is, where is channel drive right? Where is that? Is it at the end of the bottom segment, or is it the or is it the next segment? Where is it at?
Channel drive right is at the end of the top segment.
This one.
The begin landmark in this case is not populated. Like what we're talking about is the begin measure. Therefore.
Okay. Well, what about the previous one? So we don't even. So there's no landmark for this location at all. Is that what you're saying?
Not in the data.
Then if that's the case, it's entirely irrelevant which one's right. We don't even know.
Well, let's see if there I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's landmark information in the southern one.
Well, if there is,
check it out.
If there's information there, then we can possibly use that. But if it's blank, because this is drive. No, it's end. It's Loins.
It's actually right here.
Loins drive.
It relates to the end.
Right. So it's Loins drive. So we would just need to decide which one of those is closer to the true intersection of Loins drive. That's all.
All right. So turn on the imagery.
And if we had the all roads, what I might even do. Using Geomedia is probably turn on the all roads, and I would probably want to make that location where it actually intersects Loins Drive on the all roads.
Very close. We're gonna have to zoom out.
That's what I would probably do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Bear in mind though that there's been no reconciliation of your of the on-system geometry that you guys provided me with the the sort of pre-existing all roads off-system geometry?
Well, it sounds like that's the next project.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah, and so now that, and as Keith is zooming out, we're seeing that high points could probably
be fine. Yeah.
Be equally considered that intersection.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that I would favor one or the other.
Okay. So
driver's preference.
I'm just gonna, driver's preference. Go ahead and update one or the other.
We'll move. Hold on. Since the line's there, we'll just move the bottom to the front. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna step away and use the restroom really fast.
Wait! You got to see the grand finale here.
I've got to see the grand finale. Got to see the lines snap together.
Seriously, and the red dot disappears.
Okay, I'll wait.
Sorry, Tim.
No, it's all good.
I'll take my time.
I'll take your time.
All right. So we're gonna have to modify the. All right. So we're moving this up, right?
So what you got to so what do you have to do?
Well, this one was off.
Mm-hmm.
And it was.
Yeah, you can either make that one 9.5 or you can make the top one 9.4.
Yeah, 9.4. Let me. And which is a Loins Drive.
I suppose we could probably even update the landmark description on the top one, right?
Yeah.
You can, but remember when we did the workflow for digitizing these things in the first place, you guys kind of opted to not bother populating the landmark info and just relying on the sequence points.
Yeah.
And by the way, the reason why this is taking a little while to update is because this is a big, long route.
Yeah, 1. Oh, actually 10.
This is 1.
We're running up
this
and down.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
1 is, I think, the 3rd longest route in the state.
Yep.
And it has a lot of errors. Frankly, it will run progressively faster as the errors start to as you have fewer and fewer errors.
I think 1 is the 3rd longest route in the state, but I would argue that it's the most complicated route, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, I agree.
A lot of
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Problem solved. So click off it so you can see there's no red dot. It's snapped together. It's a thing of beauty.
Nobody likes red dots anyway.
Yeah.
They're offensive to the eye. We should remove them all.
That was it.
Beautiful. Change your bag.
No.
I know. Tim, sorry, you're gonna have to wait, all right?
It's all good.
Right. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay, recording. Okay, so
if it's a red line, then you said it's geometry.
It's an overlap.
Overlap between, what was that?
Yeah, it's basically event overlap. Overlap between TSN route seg events, which is not a good thing.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. I mean, I could just tell you what to do. I'm trying to. Well, okay. Let's do this. Let's try to just figure out what's going on here for starters. Maybe since we have the benefit of this being at the beginning of the route, we can just bring up the data window for the DynSeg of the route and order the records by either all roads or odometer, so that we can see them we can sort of analyze them in order.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'd say squish this so that you can see both the map and the data window at the same time. Yeah, that's good.
Actually, let me make that bigger. Okay. All right. You want to order them here, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so yeah, that's funky that we have 0 to 6, 6 to 7, 2, and then 6 to 7, 3. Let's start by looking at 0 to 6.
I wonder if the TSN data looks like that.
Doubt it. I doubt it. I'm sure the TSN data is right.
It's
And that I think I'm pretty sure that what went on here as a part of my automated processing had to do with inheriting attributes to the TSN segs based on proximity to Q1 points, and like sometimes the wrong Q1 point was actually closer to the point of interest. Anyhow, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that this kind of thing happens a lot in TSN, where there's like a thousandth of a mile difference between, you know, say a location and the end of the route, and there's a lot of places where sometimes the wrong point gets turned into a Q1 and locked, and it really should be the point that's a thousandth of a mile later.
Yep.
Right. It's pretty much the same thing.
So,
well, regardless of what the data says, let's just think about like what it probably ought to actually be, right? I mean, there should be. Oh, I can't. Could I? I just want to show you my cursor so I can point at the map.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me give you some right.
Okay.
Right.
All right, cool. So, I mean, obviously, the first segment should be from here to here. Second segment should be from here to here. And I'm going to guess that this is all part of one route, and it is. You can tell because this does not touch this.
although it would in a perfect world.
Yeah. Well, it can. There's no reason why it can't.
And we just need to go through and systematically go through and rectify all those ends and then recalibrate the end of each of the routes. That's what would have to happen. And that's just not been high. It's a lot of work and just hasn't been high enough priority, but it's always been an interest.
Yeah. High work, low value. Okay, so, and because there's overlap here, so I mean, I can see here, if I unlocatable this, I highlight this, we can see there's two TSN route segs at this location.
Yep.
Or more. Well, we're also capturing all the error. Here, let's just boil it down.
So what probably happens is we need to get rid of the segment that's 6 to 0.7072 and have it just be the 006 to 073.
I agree. Well, that's one good valid approach. I guess the main thing what I'm really trying to get at is that the overlap. The reason the overlap here happened is because for in the process of my conversion, there's an overlap and there's a gap.
Mm-hmm.
What that tells me is that the segment that should have gone from here
connected
here,
to the next, yeah.
It instead connected from like here to here.
Yep, it reversed.
So another way the ideal way to fix it will be to just find the one that needs to move and change it so that its end is here.
Yeah, we just changed the odometer values, and it should.
No,
well, we'd have to figure out which one it is first.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And that said, I mean, it might actually be easier to just delete it too. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then recreate it. Okay, I'm going to take my hand off the mouse, let you drive again, Keith. And
okay. All right.
So what do you want? How do you want it? You can do this any way you choose, and I'll just let you know if I think you're going down that path.
Guys, what do you guys want to do? We can get rid of this and just jump that measure to this.
Well, does it need to be broken at those intersections? That's just something I don't know.
What's that? Oh.
Does it need to be broken at the intersections? At the corners, basically? Does that matter? I bet there are definitely Q1s there in the original data.
Yeah.
The easiest way to know, is to look. There's where the Q1s were.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what that Q1 was, that measure.
It's at
7.2.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Actually hovering over it should give us the measure, huh?
Yeah, I set that up for you.
Yeah. So 241. So 72.
So I know I did this one last because I knew we'd do it before lunch.
This is a secondary. Yeah. Whoops.
That's okay because it's left alignment.
Yep. They're all going to be S's. All right. What do you guys want to do?
So the old Q1 that was sitting there is at 0.072. So it looks like the segment's actually causing the problem is the 731. So is there a way that we could get rid of the one that goes to 7.3 so that it matches the Q1? Although I'm not entirely convinced that the 7.3 Q1 is correct, or the 7.2 Q1 is correct, but that's a different issue. And then add a segment that actually runs between those Q1s. So basically run a segment that goes from 7.2 to 241, yes. I'm not sure exactly how to go about doing that, but that would at least make it consistent with the way in which this is supposed to be.
I like that approach.
That or look at the sequence listing and figure out what it is. We could just pop that in there. Yeah, we can. Clearly, there's a gap here, so connect that. We can get rid of one. It doesn't matter which one.
Yeah, you can see. There's a gap in the odometers, and there should not be a gap in the odometers. Yeah, so there's a segment that is supposed to be there. Well, I was talking about from there to the next one. From 7.2 to 241, basically.
This one here.
To there.
Yeah, one of those
inherited wrong. Either this one or this one. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, again, we're talking about 5 feet between them. I don't think it's going to matter at the end of the day, but we do need to get that. We need to bridge that gap, though. That there needs to be a route segment there.
Yeah, he's the same right here.
Now that's interesting. Now that you drug it out like that, you see what's kind of interesting about that is the beginning and end odometer are 006 to 072 and 073 respectively. But notice that they have the exact same begin and end all roads measure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting to me because you have the same all roads measured distance equating to different sets of distances on the odometer. And to me, that doesn't seem like that's something that should happen either. Because if you have a different length on the odometers, it should equate to a different length on the all roads if you're dynesegging one on the other. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, should or shouldn't happen? I mean, I don't know.
Why does 072 and 073?
How do we fix it?
Well, that is the question, but I'm just trying to understand why 072 and 073 are equating to the exact same all roads measure. I don't understand why they would.
It was a conversion error.
Okay.
So
I'd say delete one or the other. I don't really care which.
Yeah, like I said,
what do you guys want to get rid of?
They're talking about 5 feet. Well, like I said, let's just get rid of the one that has 7.3 on it and make it consistent with the key 1 point because the key 1 point is locked to 7.2.
Right.
So just for the sake of consistency, let's drop the one that has 7.3. And then we need to generate a segment that runs from 7.2 to 241.
So press the delete button up in the ribbon.
There you go. This one here?
Yep. There you go. So this solves the first problem. This is going to remove the overlap.
Mm-hmm.
We'll still have the gap, which we'll get to in a minute.
Right. And we'll go ahead. That was this one here. So it'll be 0.06 to whatever this measure is.
So you want to do it that way?
It didn't matter. However way you guys want to do it. Yeah.
I was thinking about inserting a new segment.
You want to insert another segment?
That goes from 7.2 to 241.
Oh yeah, that's what you have to. You have to insert a new segment.
I think Keith was talking about just extending that segment to 241 and have it go from 0.6 to 241.
Well,
yeah, that's what it depends on the. Yeah.
The disadvantage to doing that is you're losing your lock to that.
Exactly. You're losing some of your calibration. Right? Is that what you're getting at, Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's why I said if we can know what the sequence listing is, then boom, we could just add the information in.
You essentially have the sequence listing. You know what the odometer is at the end of the one you just highlighted, and you know what the odometer is at the end of the gap.
Right. Yeah, we can just grab the information there and just insert it into one of these new records, right?
Yep.
That's what I was. That's what I was trying to. Yeah.
So which harkens back to workflow 1 point whatever, or it's the insert. Here, let me get the workflow docs out. I think pretty much all of them. Workflow 3 goes through it in detail. I think 3 point. Apply on 3.4. 3.4. No, yeah, 3.4, and like really, you can go all the way to start at step 5.
Is that right? Insert.
Yep. Yeah. So you can use that workflow to insert a new event that meets these criteria, that fills that gap.
That was. Is it here? LRS interaction? No.
Yeah, I think the map window has to be active for insert.
I think we have to.
Yeah,
There we go.
there you go.
There we go.
Now insert LRS events.
And then move this to the side. We're going to do the routes, right, LRS?
No. In this case, you're creating an event
TSN route
of all roads.
All roads? Okay.
Yeah, just like in the workflow. So the
Okay.
LRS definition is based on view SHS routes. So you're creating, yeah.
And here we use let's do these. We're going to do two TSN route segs, right? This one here? I'm sorry. Where is it?
Yeah, that works.
There you go.
That works.
Route query 2 route segs?
That works too. Yeah, they both work.
What's the difference between the, oh yeah, okay. This is the dyn seg query.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you look at the properties just to make sure that the
Yeah. We're gonna have to do.
Yeah, you're gonna have to set all that up.
This one here.
So this is all roads based.
This is gonna be the all roads LRS. There it is. Key. Miles.
Probably worth checking the LRS model properties for the LRS features as well.
What was that?
Right. It's worth checking the properties for the view SHS routes also. Looks good.
We're good to run it?
Yeah, I think so. All right. So it's telling you in the lower left, go ahead and start placing your begin and then your end.
Right there.
Well, wait, it's the begin didn't take. You can tell because if you look in the lower left.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You have to make your view SHS routes locatable.
This one here.
Yeah. That way, yeah.
Okay, there we go. So it's gonna be.
Yeah, there you go. That's the spot you want. And then you have to tell it which of the two layers you want it. You're locking to. It's that one.
This one here.
Yeah.
This
second.
one, right?
No, the second.
This one. Boom, the highlighted one.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it still didn't take, because if you look in the lower left, it says click on a feature for begin distance.
Yeah.
Okay. The second of the two. Okay.
What happened?
Dude, it's still not.
Click on a feature.
You know what? Just darn thing.
What's going on?
No. You know what? Just do it on somewhere on the line. We'll change the measure to make it lock. Just get it on there somewhere.
It still says click on a feature for begin distance.
What the hell, man? Did you load that latest patch?
Was that?
I don't know. Can I drive? I wonder if it's just like a feel thing that I can't.
Click. What is going on?
Do you mind if I try, Keith?
Yeah, go ahead. That's weird. It's not a.
Oh, you know, I'm unable to control the.
Hold on, let me give you. Go ahead.
All right.
It should just snap to something.
Yeah.
The demo worked.
Come on, man. All right.
It's not even snapping to anything.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna remove variables and just say, all right, operation, material event, dang thing. Dude, it's all there. All there. Okay. Here. Here.
Nothing. It still says click
on a
feature to begin.
You know what? I'm gonna take this up with Intergraph tech support because I'm not seeing it behave the way I've seen it behave before. In the meantime, let's force this thing in. So the play on. Okay.
We just copy another segment, throw it in there.
All right. 6.5 to 2.34. You guys remember that? 6.5 to 2.34.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We'll just add another segment in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should work.
So 0.65 to
0.65.
Oh, thank you.
Zero is another.
You're welcome.
I would have.
0.65.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, darn it. This is what we get for using the query. All right. Do you guys understand why it just disappeared out of the window? Just in route eggs.
I think it went into there, right? Did it?
Yeah, it did. There it is.
There you go.
All right. What was it? SHS 044 S. And alignment is. Oh, there's no alignment. We don't have to worry about that yet. The route ID is 44. The alignment is left. And I don't remember. It's all right. Now this will pop back in here. So here's our new record.
072 Okay.
So,
Whoops.
722.
241.
Thank you. Is it zero? It's 072, isn't it?
Yep, 072.
Point 241.
Yep, that should work.
All right, and why isn't it showing up? Man, let's just bounce.
I think we'll have to bounce it, right? Well,
yeah, it seems like we shouldn't have to.
See.
I wonder.
We shouldn't have to because before it worked. When we did the.
Yeah. And Geomedia knows about all the relationships between all those things, but.
There we go. I guess we do have to bounce it. Yep.
All right. Well, whatever. I think there's I'll bring it up with Intergraph. I think there might be a metadata issue. Like the fact that it didn't see that change tells me that like Geomedia was unaware that feature was in there at some level. I'm going to investigate that. Probably bring in tech support to get it right. So anyhow, sorry about that little diversion. The insert LRS feature tool didn't quite perform as it was intended, but it seems. I mean, based on the discussion, it seems like you guys get what happened. I mean, we had an overlap where we had an overlap and a gap right next to each other. Sort of stands to reason that the overlapping segment pointed just was misplaced, and those are the mechanics for straightening that out in that case. So those are the two examples I wanted to go over.
Mm-hmm.
My hope and goal is that you guys feel like you're in a position to start opening Geomedia, connecting to the data with this QA/QC workspace, and start fixing stuff. At least on a practice kind of basis. And I'll just say that I have a spreadsheet in Google Docs. You saw it already, right, Keith?
Was it the
list of routes
we looked at yesterday? Okay.
Well, the deal is this: I have a list of routes. I've gone through and looked at every single route for issues, and I've identified which routes need work and which routes are clear of issues. And we've verified that all the routes that we think are clear of issues are clear by loading them to GeoTest. So we know exactly what needs to be worked on. Like I've said before, I/Farallon am committed to getting these all resolved, regardless of whether you guys participate or not. But I think going through and resolving these things is really good practice for you guys for maintenance stuff, and frankly, it'll help us to find either bugs or improvements we can make to the maintenance workflows. So as far as I'm concerned, I have a Google Sheet set up that all of us can look at and edit, and my hope is that we can all look at this sheet together and just indicate, just go through and start checking off routes that need attention in the sheet, and it's a sheet that we can all see, so we know so we don't step on each other's toes simultaneously working on the same stuff. Keith, could you bring that sheet up?
Okay.
I know everybody's probably getting hungry.
You sent me a link,
I know
right?
I am. Yeah. I can resend it. Let me just resend it right now.
Copy. Have you actually opened it before, Keith?
No, this is a different sheet.
Does this go through Google Docs, Adam?
Yeah.
Okay, it could be a problem. I'm hoping it works though.
I think we looked at it yesterday, right? I don't know.
We made it work yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's why I was asking. That's why I was asking if you had pulled it up before, because I know that that our network tends to not like Google Docs because it considers it file sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, I just emailed it to you guys. Yeah, I can see that when I am VPN'd into your network and on one of your machines and I try to access Google Docs, it gives me a little like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Like, is this for work purposes? And I say yes, and then lets me.
Okay, there we go. There's the table.
Okay, great. So we can all see each other's edits live on this. Which, so if, for example, looking at Highway 1, you see the green?
Yep.
That's actually me on my computer moving around. And I'm going to just set this from greater than 0 to 0, and then it stops being red. And basically, if I was to just set all these to 0, and I'll just go ahead and do that, and the issues get set to no. So bottom line is when you set stuff to 0, that means that it's all resolved. And if you're actively working on something, I mean, you can just put in a note and say, everybody can see it. So just a way for us to keep track of who's working on what. So there you go.
Cool.
I didn't mean to commit you to work on that one, Keith, so let me delete that. All right.
Okay.
Anything else before we sign off?
Shall we start on the work now, or I mean, do you guys feel comfortable with it, or I mean, how? I know that the turnaround time is supposed to be pretty quick on this, right? So
we can. I'm not sure what the turnaround time is going to be, or how much time I'm going to be able to devote to it.
Right.
I think for you guys, the goal doesn't need to be to resolve issues. I mean, resolving issues might be a nice side effect of what you're really trying to accomplish, but let's just say it out loud. What you're really trying to accomplish is, as training, is knowing how to resolve these issues.
That's the,
And I mean, if there's a deadline, if there's some kind of a deadline that you need these issues resolved by, just let me know about it, and I will make sure that they are all resolved by then, regardless of the percentage of issues that you guys actually do manage to resolve.
Well, the only difficulty on my end is that I'm only going to be here one day between now and July 5th. So.
Okay.
That doesn't give me a lot of time at all.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm unaware of any particular deadline of when this needs to be done by. So so that said, I mean, it's on you guys to tell me, do you just want me to rip on this stuff and just get it done? I mean, and I'm happy to do that, but then you'll lose the opportunity to work on it yourself.
I think you make a good point. I think there's a lot of value in having us work through some of this stuff. Even if we can't necessarily resolve it, just being able to go through the motions, try to resolve it, fix what we can, mark and talk to you about what we can't.
Yeah, exactly. And this, again, that's why I have this spreadsheet here, so that it's really easy for us to communicate.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess what we can do is just pick a route and then just sign on that route, and then, just, I guess, just jump through it, figure out what, I mean, that's the best way to learn it,
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't resolve it, just bring it up.
It seems like that Highway 1 stuff, it's actually, it's pretty repetitive and pretty simple, I think. I mean, it's really mostly just a matter of adjusting all roads measures by a thousandth of a mile one way or the other. That might be a good sort of, I mean, it's not going to be terribly mind stimulating, but it'll be good just wax on, wax off type training with, Geomedia and just getting more familiar with the data. That might be a good route to just kind of leave to you guys, at least for now. And I'm totally here for questions. And again, as far as I know, there's no hurry that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And if there is a hurry, just let me know, and we'll figure out the plan to meet everybody's needs.
Okay. Well, what do you guys think? We can each grab a different route, and then, I don't know, guess report back in a couple of weeks. Well, I know Tim's, you're only going to be here
Friday.
So, we can probably report back in a week or two, or whenever Tim gets back and has some time to mess with this. That way we get a feel for, either improving the work